Well, good morning, everybody, and happy New Year. I can't believe we're starting another year together, 2023. What do you think of that? Hi, it's so good to see some of you I haven't seen for a while, um, and many of you who I've seen every week. And this is going to be a big year for Help the Helpers. We're going to sort of consolidate together and plan, and also invite other people to join us and really work on having our group be truly international, welcoming everybody group, which it is now, but we want it to be even more so. So I'm very excited to start this new year with you. And I'm so pleased to welcome Abby, who's going to talk about something mysterious to me, the elemental body. The elemental body. We're going to see what that is. It seems like a good way to start the new year, right? With our bodies. We can't get closer to ourselves in a way than that. And of course, we have in mind with Jen Lynn's philosophy that the body is not a machine, it's not an entity, it's not a thing, but it's a living interaction with everything, and everything comes through our bodies, right? We are our bodies. So I want to tell you that I met Abby. What did we say, Abby? We said 5
years ago. Yeah.
5 years ago. I have a neighborhood in-person intergenerational dialogue group called Generate. And Abby was one of the people that came, one of the young people that came to this group. And after one of the groups, she took me aside and she said, "You have to teach us focusing. Young people need focusing. You can't just leave us to talk about things. We need to know this wisdom that you have." And actually, that was inspiring to me to start the whole process of the Community Empowerment Project that was about bringing the wisdom and the skills of focusing to everybody in the community. And so, Abby, you were a big part of my starting that. And Abby has become a substantial generative member of the focusing world, the focusing community, and also of our community empowerment project. And Abby is now doing somatic workshops and something that she's calling, I found this very intriguing, moving flow. Is that right? Did I get that right?
It's very close. A fluid motion. Yeah.
Fluid motion. Fluid motion. Okay. So let's take a couple of breaths and get ready to go with Abby on a journey into fluid motion and elemental body for the new year. Okay, Abby.
Yeah, I'm taking a breath myself too, just to ground and become present. So let's see. I know we're starting off the new year, and the reason I picked this topic is because it's something that I've been really diving into on a very visceral level in me. And just having this such depth of connection with nature and seeing our own interexchange of nature And I think COVID has really drilled that home of our interdependency with each other and with nature. And in me, there's this huge desire in really how can we live an experiential understanding of that, not in just an intellectual mentation that there's nature and there's us and there's this separation, but how can we really feel it deep in our breath and in our bones and our blood that we are nature and we're in that constant exchange, and without it we wouldn't be here, like without the precious setup that which nature currently beautifully in all is, we wouldn't exist. If one tipping point of our ecosystem changes, like we wouldn't be here, and the delicacy of that. And so there's such a yearning and wanting to explore this and share this more with the world. And so today the talk is on elemental body. And I want to bring this part with focusing in as well, because Jean talks a lot about in situ and how we're in interaction with our environment. And the felt sense is constantly responding to what's occurring. And there's this evolving process. And that body as process is something that feels like a central core to this understanding of that we are elemental bodies. We're elemental bodies in process, a constant biological motion, biological process. And there's just a visceral gut understanding that our bodies is the earth and the earth is our body. The earth is our body. And I want to explore that on an experiential level with each of you here today. And sorry, just one second.
Abby, maybe we could take that pause just to take in what you just said. Earth is our body. Our body is the earth.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, like having a felt sense of letting those words land in you. The earth is your body. And I want to talk about it from the elemental perspective of earth, water, air, fire, and space. And we can see how far we get with the time we have. And the first thing is the earth piece. So, and there's a couple of things with regards to earth, which is if we think about our body parts, our bones are the densest part of our bodies. Our bones are made of the same minerals that is of the minerals of the earth, the same composition that came from evolution. And our bones, like if we really fully embody the composition and the felt sense of our bones, we begin to also feel the sense of our weight. And with weight, we then also feel the support of earth, because with gravity, there's a sense of spiritual belonging of us in this spot. Every moment to moment, each of us. It's a matter of, can we actually allow in the support of gravity and the earth below us? Can we sense that support? And if we have a lot of fear that is within our system that is undigested, there may be unconscious feelings of holding our bodies up in air without even realizing it. And so how can we really begin to meet that within us and allow ourselves to sense that depth of support of the earth that is below you in this moment? Even right now, as I'm sitting down and slowly landing more into my body, like, can I feel my sits bones? Can you feel your sits bones as you're sitting there? And Like if you rock your sits bones a little bit, can you feel that sense of contact? And can you sense maybe that like there's a little bit more that you can drop lower into your seat, and that support of the earth is there? And sense that gravity. You're the only one who can actually allow the perceiving, allowing in the support that is below you. No one else. And that allowing needs to happen in order to feel that nourishment, the stability, the ground. And we all know that the earth is constantly nourishing us. And for those of you who are sensitive enough, you can feel that there's an energy that comes up from the earth, that there's a warmth and a holding. And the earth feeds us in its abundance of food, the generativeness, and the generosity. And the sound that I would like to introduce here is the sound of Z, G. And what that does is, if you would follow along with me, is if you could just begin to really touch and sense into the bones, the substance of your body, and just following the sound of Z, G, G. And as you're sounding, sending this sound into the texture of your bones, maybe into your arms. So, the subtle vibratory ground that begins to awaken our bones, the felt sense of our bones. And particularly if you send it down to your sits bones, and rock a little bit back and forth. It's like, imagine you're like an oceanic wave rocking. And just allowing that support underneath to really hold your rocking and movement, that solidity that's always there. The solidity of your bones, that is your structure. So earth represents our groundedness, support, and a sense of allowing and generosity. And next, I want to talk about water, which is a huge part of my exploration. And I've noticed that water is such an emotional part of who we are. And when I'm near places with more water, my emotions tend to flow more. Like if you've ever been around an ocean, your body begin to rhythmically move with the ocean waves. And your breath begin to syncopate and more emotions come out because of the expansiveness of it all. And water resonates, like we resonate, sound vibrates in water. So because we're 70% water, other people's sounds, their voices, it makes an imprint in the fluids of our bodies. In many ways, that translate information to us if we're sensitive enough of what's happening in the other person. And the whole body of water is interrelated. If you think about it, 70% of our bodies is water, and the composition's exactly the same as the earth's water. We're in 97% salt water, just like the earth, 3% fresh water. just like the earth. And there is a water in and water out. The circulation of the water that we take from the lakes, tributaries, the fresh water comes into our bodies, cycles through, nourishes, cleanses, and then water out. And it goes underground, gets purified, enters into the cycle of water that becomes clouds, rain, downpours through mountains back into that water again. So that inter-exchange of water in and out we're so intricately related with earth cycles. And just the immensity and amazement of that, I think about it and it just blows my mind. Like every single day, we're taking in something that circulates around the earth, above the sky, down to the ground. And I think in modern culture, there's a lot of commodification of water, and we lose some of the sacredness of that because water comes so easily. And in Hawaii, there's this saying that salt water heals. And it really is true. Ocean water, our tears, it clears energetically, emotionally, physically. Water is just such a cleansing element in and of itself. And the reminder I want to share here is that how can we be more in touch with our own fluids, our own waters? And how can we get a felt sense of the vibratoriness and the shapes of the spirals and undulations of the water that moves within us? And so I want to just try a short exercise with you with the sound M-E-M. So mem. And if you could just play with me here and maybe I just invite you, maybe you can caress your body. Like imagine you're moving your body in a way that you're like caressing the inner waters of you. And then bring the sound of mem, mem, mem. And in focusing, we say to pause. So in that moment of pause, after you memmed a few times, can you feel that subtle traveling of the sound through your body? The waves that are within your body. I see many of you are kind of holding in this kind of like container of like support. That's the feeling I get whenever I become weightless in the ocean. The water is such a support to me, carrying me. It's kind of just like total letting go of my weight, anti-gravity. So the sound mem is almost like throwing a pebble into the pond of you and letting that vibrate and let the ripples moving through. And that's something you could do to resource if you ever just want to get in touch with the ocean of you, like that felt sense of being near the ocean, the expansive, calm release. We can just get into our inner waters. And for the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next element. And Lynn, please cut me off when we need to do group discussions, so I don't want to go over time. And yeah, the next thing I want to talk about is air, which it's funny. I think there's a conception that like we are breathing air as humans, but the truth of it is that breathing is just happening in its own, or maybe air is even breathing us. Like, what would happen if instead of I'm breathing air, like breathing is just happening? Biologically, we're just wired. And if you just take a moment of being breathed, like air is actually just naturally coming into your lungs. And let the natural urge take in the air when it arises, because the body knows when it needs air. You're not making it happen. You're being breathed and you're in circulation with the green ones. In circulation, the giving and receiving exchange with the trees. And the giving, receiving exchange with other human beings and animals who breathes the same stream of air. The same stream of air that travels all around the world. The air is not out there. The pollution's not out there. It is in us. It is in each and every one of us. And the wind carries the stream of air, the currents, globally, and circulates that. And it unifies us. And if anything, COVID tells us how much we can't separate that which we breathe. And so as you're breathing, just see if you can notice how the air travels into you, like into your inner caverns. It's like this dark crevice of your body going into the cave of your body. And it's moving around your lungs and your viscera. And seeing how far it can actually go into the depth of the cave to begin to circulate things that are stagnant, that might be stuck. It's a great circulator. And there's something actually I like to play with, which is called the cave wind breath. So it sounds something silly like this. It's letting really the air to travel through you like the howling winds into the cave of your body and allowing the circulation and the movement to occur. So I'm going to try it one more time. So inside it looks kind of like a folding, undulating movement, just like how the wind travels. I find this especially helpful when there's some stagnant energy inside my body. Like sometimes I'm focusing, something comes up, like something breaks off, loosens, but then it doesn't fully come out. Like the debris of the energy is still inside. Then I can go in with this wind of a cave wind breath to really bring it out of me and slowly to let that stagnant energy to come out. So it's almost like, it carries the seeds and it carries the particles and it begins to help you release all that which you're carrying.
Sorry, Abby, could you explain a little bit of how you're doing that? Are you inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth? How would that be?
Yeah, it's it comes from inside. I'm going to try to describe it from a felt sense perspective. It's like, and try to not do it from a mental way, but see if you can just envision there being like a dark cavern, and you're almost like pushing the wind through. The wind, you breathe in and there's breath in you already, and you're moving the wind that's already in you out. And then that moving out, you're just letting it kind of like rotate and move and kind of intermix and play a little bit inside. And then using that momentum to let it push outside of you. And the mouth shape is like, I'm going to have to just do it. It's like, yeah, so there's a force of pushing. And even as I do it, there's like an undulatory motion that comes naturally in my body. And it's like, if you've ever really been in a wind where like just howling winds, there's a force of nature that naturally just comes through. And with it, it carries so much gifts and seeds, and but also cleans and cleanses, like it clears out everything and just begin to circulate.
That's beautiful, Abby.
How are we doing on time? I know we were looking to.
Yes, I think it's about time to have discussion, but how are we doing with your talk?
I have two more elements, so I think we can just choose to pause, and if we want to go into discussion and just take what we have and move from there rather than rush through it.
A part two at a different time of fire and water.
In space.
Right, fire and space. Let's just give you a moment to see if there's anything more there about these two elements that you want to share.
I'm not sure if there's anything I can say about these three, but I might be just getting in my head. So I think, I think it is a body knowing of feeling our weight, feeling our liquids, and feeling our wind and breath. And if we, like even every day, like it's almost I think the elemental intelligence and knowing our bodies is through the everyday living. And these are biological processes that happen every single day, every single minute in some cases. And so how can we just like, as we're moving through our day, finding that sensing of that, like letting our felt sense seep into that, and finding a deeper sense of connection through nature as we deeper sense into our own nature in this way.
Thank you so much, Abby. That was really amazing, quite amazing. And I do think we need time to take in what you've given us so far. And just as you've shown us, take it all the way into our bodies, give it space, and then bring it up into our minds and words, and then back down into the felt sense of it, the power of it. I think that what you're expressing, and the link to the climate crisis is expressed very well in what you said for the community empowerment group, which is on YouTube. And I'll send people a link to what you said there about climate crisis and alienation. So let's just see what's there for us to interchange about. What was your experience of Abby's talk, and what do you have to ask or to say or to be with?
Abby, this is Shashi. I wanted to know if there are sounds related to the other three elements, because you gave the sound for the earth and the water, and you didn't give the sounds for the other, because as I see that these elements go from gross to subtle, right? The elements are going from gross to subtle, and they're very akin to the Panch Mahabhuta, which is basic Indian philosophy, and how the body consists of. Are there any sounds with those other three elements? That's my question.
Yeah, there is. Well, for the air, it's the cave wind breath that we just did. Like in some ways it's sounding.
Mm-hmm.
And then for fire, I feel a little uncomfortable just like kind of throwing the sound out, like without context, but there is correspondent sounds. And I think in this practice it's also exploratory, because it's exploratory consciousness of how does sound actually interplay with your own physiology. Like, so if you play with different sounds, how can it create more space in you? Or how can you get in touch with like the vibratoriness of the liquids in you? And so there are certain sounds you can play with, but it doesn't seem as like instructional rote. So yes, there are sounds, and I think if we had more space to play, I'd be happy to introduce that for fire and space. Yeah.
Well, maybe in part 2, you'll give sounds for fire.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you naming like this, the progression from dense to subtle. I think that's really powerful.
That's from subtle to, from gross to subtle, and that's how they progress. Yeah.
Abby, this is Nati, and I just wanted to thank you for this, because it was so, I don't know what the word is, integrative or integrating. It's like bringing awareness and consciousness to the fact that we are made of these elements, and really feeling into them and bringing this real awareness. It's like the feeling is that how this brings such connectedness or connection with ourselves and with everything else. So my wish, my desire is that I can personally be much more in contact with these elements, and what you have just offered is an invitation to me to do that more. And I think this would be wonderful, because it's the feeling that we are connected to everybody and to everything and to every single being, and really feeling it in our bodies. So I'm looking forward to the second part of this, Abby. It's already been so enriching. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. And I just want to add one more thing here, which is like that interconnection is so resourcing. Like so much times we think that when we look for support, it's to grab for the other, like other people. Like, are you support for me? But if we have elemental support, it's like the foundational support. And like there's a foundational belonging that doesn't escape any of us. So if we have that elemental support, there's already a threshold of holding an embeddedness to like push us, not push us, but place us in more in the center. And then we have more capacity to reach out to others.
Abby, this is an essay. I just wanted to thank you. I almost did not show today because I'm grieving the loss of my best friend, my little dog. And when you did the Z, you know, each of the exercises that you did opened me in a different way. The Z kind of, I didn't think, I mean, I was doing them because you were asking us to do them. I just didn't think they would be as powerful as they were for me in terms of opening space for my grief, to be with my grief. It kind of, the Z, I don't know if you told us to kind of let it go to the zit bone. It kind of went down to me. And you know, the last one where you're opening the mouth and air is coming through, but sound is not coming, that kind of, I felt like maybe my grief was stuck somewhere, like kind of opened the grief for me. Like it opened something mysterious. I cannot explain it, but I wanted to thank you because I didn't think that I could sit through. And then I said, I need to find courage because I need community and to be in the energy of this community in the moments when I am the most vulnerable. And so I got myself together to make it. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you said something that's something, I'm not sure exactly the word you said, but like something like there's a mystery of something that's happening inside. Yeah, this is why I just love this work so much, because every time I go in, it is really doing a deep dive in the oceans of me. Like deep dive into the crevices that like really wants to be explored, but it doesn't even know that it wants to be explored and let go of.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. It was like, you know how focusing goes deep and deeper and deeper to things that were vague and you didn't know. So I said, I mean, I do grief work. So I'm like, why am I holding on to this grief? Why, you know, but it's raw and new. But then I said, my little dog has a backstory and it's a love story. I bought her from my husband who was dying of cancer. And she gave him 2.5 years extra to live. Like he loved her so much. And so of course I'm going to grieve deeply for all the stories that she's 14, you know, I knew she was going to go soon because she's 14, her lifespan is 10. But she represents every house I lived that I had to let go of because, you know, my husband, and then My other house I let go because I moved with my new partner, who has a beautiful home. And so there are layers. The mystery is the layers that I suddenly open space to connect. And I feel, the last exercise, that it opened something and got me deeper. Like it was like if I could see things without naming them, and I said, wow, this work will continue. I could continue to do, and also the touching of me. Like I hadn't held me, I hadn't held me. And I didn't know that sound could be so profound, that I could make sound that could electrify me from within. I mean, you hear about sound, but you don't realize it until you're as vulnerable as I am right now. And suddenly you feel much better. I'm not saying my grief is gone, because I know grief is not like that. It's not going to turn off, but there's a different relationship with my inside grief.
And with regards
I just want to say, for me, this was a very direct experience, how I would say understanding changes one's experience. Because like the guidance you gave us, it's almost, it for me, it like invited a different kind of understanding, like the relationship to air, or to think of my bones as being made of the same substance as I don't remember exactly what you pointed out in the world. And so I think sometimes like in practices I was involved with, it was sort of like, don't think of the conceptual, just be with the experience. But I don't even think that's possible, because I think the experience itself includes so much of how we understand the world. And that I think was the most I think for me significant about the experience of being with you and your guidance, is like how interlocked that is. So I don't know what you think of what I just said.
I think it's I think it's really profound what you're saying. And I've been having a dawning realization that from doing so much body-based work for a long time, I rejected my mind. I rejected like the mental understanding of it. But that's dualism, and mind is so powerful. Like having the scaffolding is really important to seep into more of the deeper visceral understanding, but not understanding in like a theoretical way, but like in a just like tangible felt way. And so I appreciate you naming that, and I feel like there's a lot of different rich strands to what you're saying.
I really appreciate it also, because many times, even though we don't believe in the mind-body split, we find ourselves dividing that. And even, Abby, when you say not in a theoretical way, that the theory, the body of understanding, is all part of it too. We can't take the theory out. You're giving us a theoretical understanding of how we are the earth, and the earth has a mind, right? The mind of nature in some way. It reminds me of Janet Funder's talk about Jean's idea of the plant body, and that we all have plant bodies. And by extension, you're extending the idea of the plant body to the whole earth body, and how that the whole earth is breathing and thinking and being. And interacting with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious to learn more about the plant body.
Abby, I want to say it's Lenore. Thank you very much. It was a very lovely meditation. I'm wondering, do you find that at different times you might meditate more with the earth or the air or the water, depending upon your own felt sense of what's going on that day or that moment? And it's reminding me, I was at a workshop with Ayurvedic medicine, and it's very similar in terms of bringing in the different elements and what we're made of. And some of us have a little more of air, some have earth. It's interesting, the connection with the Indian medicine and what you're discussing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I find a lot of indigenous, and I'm not calling Ayurvedic indigenous in per se, but I live with a Native American elder, and they also have such a depth of connection to the elements. So like a strand within the ancient wisdoms, I think that all shares this depth of the power within the elements. And to answer your question about when to use it, yeah, I think whenever I feel overwhelmed and needing support, I've been in practice of noticing gravity, in practice of noticing the contact with the surfaces of both my feet. Like, it's increasing hapticity. Hapticity means like sensory capacities, both like being received and being able to impact upon. So like, how can I feel the sits bones and the impact of the sits bones, like the weight of the sits bones and my whole body? And like, can I feel the like equanimity of the earth? And partly, like, if you're energetically sensitive, it's like, how can I feel the nourishment of the earth and like the warmth and the support of that? How can I develop actually a relationship with earth? Like, it's a relationship that needs to be cultivated and developed in order to deeper feel and sense into that. There's like an animateness with the earth in each of the elements. And so how can we move more towards building the relationship? And also use the cave wind breath a lot, because I've been doing a lot of inner processing, and every time when the energy releases from the past, like, it's a different texture. There's a different even taste and a smell and like an inner sense. There's more heaviness, it's more aged. And so like, I use the cave wind breath to carry it out of me. And like, that with different breathing styles, like, really allows it to move out of me faster. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Abby, thank you for the practice you shared. Sorry I was late today, so I didn't hear. Is there a name to this practice in Indonesian philosophy? I missed that.
Yeah. So this is something, I'm calling it elemental body, and it's I would say primarily comes out of Continuum and Susan Harper's work. So Continuum is a practice of working with your fluids, and but I think the different elements of it, so the different elements of it comes from Continuum, and also it's a combination of Continuum and energetic practices.
Thank you. Is this used in climate change awareness?
I would love for it to be.
I think that would help. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I truly believe that it would help.
I missed that. Is it used for what?
Climate change awareness.
Yes, 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 yes. Climate change awareness. Yes.
You know, Abby, yesterday, 60 Minutes was all about climate change awareness and environmental concerns. It was pretty interesting. And all that we have lost and are continue to lose. It was very powerful.
Yeah. And I want to say that, like, I'm feeling so much grief even hearing you say that. The more we can open this sensory portal through the practice of these soundings, like the more that which we open the sensory capacities and develop a relationship with Earth, the more it's palpably felt, the grief of Earth. Like there's grief, like energetic grief that like coagulates collectively from the living things and beings of Earth as it's dying. And so it is such a the grief lives within me as I open to that more.
And I want to say also that that opens us up to also our resources, right? Or Earth resources, or our earthly resources inside, and how we can, what's our part in it?
Yeah.
What's our part in it? What's possible within our own being in our own life? So it opens to the grief and tragedy and or this loss, and it also opens to possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is very aware of that, Abby, in your talk, that the awareness of the earth gives us support and gives us strength and gives us courage. And now we're saying that we also feel the grief of the earth. It's both the grief and the comfort, the support and the inspiration.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, Jane. Welcome, Robert. I loved what you said. Welcome, Jim. We're all back, I think. So let's take a breath to go from one environment, one body, small group body, to a larger group body. I think it's not an accident that we call a group of people a body of people, right? We are the body, this help the helper's body. So how was your breakout room? What do you want to share?
I think for me, it's two things. One is just you naming this as a body, because I think a lot of us are very focused on, guess, focusing inside.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think what I'm getting from today is what's if I included the air around me,
Mm-hmm.
social support around me,
Mm-hmm.
more into my sense of self.
Yes, yes, yes.
And almost like, even as I'm saying that, there's a little bit of a, like, oh my God, this is, I don't know, scary, exciting, almost like a new, I don't know, sort of barrier of how deep I can breathe that's opened up.
Mm.
And then the other thing, I keep coming back to the focusing practice, which is for me really the essence, is that naming and resonating.
Yes.
So I think, and there's, I think, ways to do that, I think, in a very spacious way, to just, again, what I said before, that really noticing how the name changes the experience. Because I think it's not just like finding the right name and now I know how I feel. Oh, it's not like, this is a name and what happens now.
Yes, that the name, having a name, changes the experience. I just want to underline that. And having concepts for things changes the experience of them.
Yeah, and my big experience was like a week ago. It was actually the first time in my adult life that I was really sick. And I got to this place where, in terms of meditation techniques, it was sort of the just feel and feel flow. And I was really at the place where I was able to do that, and then notice how just the thought I'm sick changed the experience. Like there was this amazing flow experience, and then just saying I'm sick and all the emotions that triggered, everything changed. And then I was sort of able to go back to just feel and feel flow, and everything was just amazing. So anyway, well, my takeaway from today is really to include more my surrounding into my sense of self. So thank you very much.
Yes. Including the whole earth into our sense of body.
I wanted to share two things. One, I'm really finding doing these exercises with Abby. I was saying in my group that I felt like I was like a young child wanting to mirror Abby, because you embody this so much. And like, so I went along, I was doing all the exercises and my body started moving, and it just stayed with me like the whole time. I mean, usually I'll have a little breakthrough and then, oh, I'm back in my head. But there was something about the depth of this that I still feel it inside. It's just a different kind of breathing. It's not a like 4 in, 6 out or whatever. It's just like different. And the song I chose today was Make a Change. It's like, oh, New Year's, Michael Jackson's Make a Change. It's such a strong song. But at the same time, I'm also thinking, and for myself too, like change doesn't have to be this huge, big, mammoth boulder that you'll never get to, but it can be moment to moment. And that's really empowering to me, Abby, what you're sharing today around that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, just the change in breath changes everything. And maybe everything, like the butterfly flapping on one side of the earth, changes the tides on the other side, maybe changes everything in some kind of way.
Change in perception changes everything.
On a different subject, I just want to wish everyone a happy new year.
Happy New Year.
Absolutely. Yes.
Happy new year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I just want to let everybody know that I posted in the chat a link that's connected with Chinese medicine and this use of sound to vibrations to
Oh,
connect with different organs and how those sounds can open up the channels.
Hmm.
It's called yin energy.
is it in the chat?
Yes, the link is in the chat.
I'm not seeing it for me. Does anyone else see it?
I don't see it either.
I don't see it either.
Oh,
No.
it's in my chat.
Maybe
I'll
you
do
didn't
it.
send it.
I'll make it. It says, okay, I'll do it again.
Maybe
To
you didn't send
everyone,
it
you
to
have to click.
everyone.
Yeah, to everyone.
I did. Hold on a minute. I'll do it again. Sorry. Okay, here. Should go. Okay, do you have it now?
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, this
Okay.
is so good.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
very
it's
much.
very useful. And it talks about like opening the heart channel, smiling to your heart and making a certain sound
Oh,
to that. You know what? The heart is the seat of strong emotions.
yeah.
You
This
know,
is,
so yeah.
I just think it's so beautiful because I'm appreciating my culture. I'm Chinese, has this
Right.
and their ancient underbackings. And then yeah, I think there's a lot of th- there's also tantra practices that also uses sound to open up the body of pleasure and body of sensing and openness. And so I'm just seeing like it's almost like ancient what is the way to put it? Like the form is different, but the principle stays the same. Like the manifestation of form comes and goes in different ways, but the principle is what we're playing with here.
Right. It deals with sound vibrations, right? That pinpoint, there's certain sounds that will connect with the, heart, liver, spleen, kidneys. Yeah.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I think it's time to listen to our final song that Dorothy is going to play for us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this. And I just want to announce that our next planning meeting for Help the Helpers will be at 10 o'clock, not next Monday, but the Monday after. So even if you aren't part of the standing committee, you're welcome to join or just to join for that day. So put that on your calendar. And next week, we're going to talk about Gene Genlin because it is his birthday at Christmas, and we're not doing the Christmas party this year around his birthday, but Donata and I are going to talk about his life and his philosophy next Monday. So Dorothy, it's
Okay. And just to tell you, it goes on for 6 minutes, so please feel free to, anybody who wants to leave. But we just decided we'd have it play it out. And thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
thank you so much, Abby.
Thank you very much, Abby.
Yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
That was very beautiful. I
Yay.
see so many smiles here.
Yay.